April the 11th, insects, spiders and mice. For insects, this is the first month of the year when there is such a range and such numbers of certain species that they become noticeable again. The warming of the leaf litter brings a surge of activity among ground-dwelling insects. In gardens, bees, wasps, aphids, hoverflies, ladybirds, bugs, earwigs, lacewings and ants can now all be seen. In woods, many of these may also be encountered, especially wood ants in coniferous woodland. Ants may even be encountered high up in trees. The first beetles to be noticed are usually ground beetles, ladybirds, leaf beetles, signal red lily beetles in gardens, and perhaps even a lesser stag beetle. On shrubs, leaf beetles and stink bugs, with their metallic colours, tend to be noticed more. Any bumblebees you may see falling to the ground together in what looks like combat is more likely to be them copulating. Various flies seem attracted to new growth on elder bushes, and more wasps are now noticed prospecting for nest sites or even building their nests. The first mason wasp and ruby-tailed wasps are also sometimes seen. By water there may be swarms of insects, some of these which may bite and others that follow you as you walk by. These are often the non-biting midges, Chironomidae. As they hatch, they tend to cause some disturbance on the water's surface, which can be responsible for the first significant rise of fish. Anglers call them buzzers. Swarms of older flies have the habit of gently flying upstream by rivers such as the River Wey. If the swarming insects have long dangling legs, they may even be dance flies, Empididae. Some have prominent snouts and others have distinctive upturned abdomens. Two insects very much associated with April are the St. Mark's fly, Bibiomarchi, and the insect inside cuckoo spit, Philaenus spumarius. The St. Mark's fly owes its name to its first appearance being traditionally on or around St. Mark's Day, April the 25th. It is about the size of a small blowfly, but thinner and more hairy. It carries its long legs in a bundle dangling below its body as it flies. These are males waiting for females who are usually sat on the grass nearby. Once the female takes flight, the males then pounce on them, mating in midair. Cuckoo spit is the name given to the pockets of white froth we see at this time of year on leaves and stems. The insect involved is a froghopper or spittlebug. The froth is exuded by its nymphs, expelling air through a sticky secretion on their abdomens. It is thought to have two functions, that is, protecting against desiccation and hiding the nymphs from predators. Another distinctive insect seen this month is the bee fly, Bombilius species. Their high-pitched whining buzz is noticed first, before they dart away. They are nectar feeders with a penchant for yellow flowers. They fly their eggs towards bare ground near the nesting holes of bees. When their eggs hatch, their larvae then invade the burrows, stealing their contents and possibly eating the bee larvae. It is their long projecting proboscis, bulging eyes, and ability to hover that tends to attract our attention. There is also a lot more evidence of caterpillar activity this month, with many more holes appearing in leaves. The caterpillars themselves are more difficult to find, although not for nesting tits, which are known to collect up to 500 a day to feed their young. It is well worth visiting commons this month, with a range of different habitats such as Wimbledon and Mitcham commons, both of which are well known for their insect diversity. More unusual insects that might be seen in more unusual situations could include the impressive bloody-nosed beetle on patches of ladies' bled straw, flea beetle on damage on seedlings, whirligig beetles corralling around the surface of ponds, owl midges attracted to wild arum lilies, sawflies hanging around plants they intend to parasitize, fungus gnats either feeding or laying eggs on fungi, and perhaps your first hoverfly or cranefly. By the end of April, all this insect activity means we start to notice a lot more damage to the leaves of garden plants and crops. This is because the leaves are not just being eaten or pierced to suck sap, but species such as sawflies are busy laying eggs in them. Although there are 40 different ladybirds in London, there are only around 12 which have spots noticeable enough to attempt identification by counting them. Another 4 or 5 can be identified by their colours or other distinctive markings. Those most commonly encountered are the 2, 7, 10, 14 and 22 spot ladybirds, as well as the orange ladybird, which usually has 16 spots. Variation, especially in the last species, can cause problems in making an accurate identification. Probably the 7, 14, 16 and 22 spots are the easiest to recognize. The 7 spot fortunately has 7 spots, but these can either be red or black, or a black or yellow on a black or yellow background. The 14 spot is yellow but can have between 4 to 14 black spots, and the 16 spot, as mentioned, is orange with between 12 and 16 spots. The latter ladybird is often associated with ash, oak or sycamore trees. The 22 spot is yellow and has a narrower range of black spots, just between 20 and 22. The harlequin ladybird is the villain of the piece. It only arrived in 2004, but has been out competing our native ladybirds with its wider diet and longer breeding period. It even eats the larvae of other ladybirds. It is also larger, being generally over 5 millimeters in length, and often has a noticeable keel around the edges of its wing cases. This helps a little to identify, but unfortunately it can be black or orange and also have red or black spots. Not only that, but there are over 100 different forms. It is the 2 spot we generally see the most of. It can be red or black with either 2, 4 or 6 spots. Usually it only has 2 when we see it around our window frames during the winter. As a rule, we tend to notice ladybirds on roses or other garden plants with infestations of aphids. But conifers and low-growing vegetation in meadows are also good places to look for them. Spiders. Whenever there is prey, there is soon sure to be predators. And sure enough, spiders are now being seen more. Up till now, there have been a lot of small money spiders, Linifidae, which, although most have been well hidden. Now we start to see spiders in more unusual places, depending upon what prey they're targeting. Their choices of habitats are not quite what you might expect, as they seem to have a preference for houses, gardens, flowers, bushes, the undersides of stones and logs, low-growing vegetation, moss, sandy heaths, old walls, trees, and even tree trunks, caves, and mines. Although crab, jumping, and wolf spiders have no webs, we can often see crab spiders in flowers, jumping spiders in our homes, and wolf spiders always seem to be running away from us. Webs can often give us a clue as to what spiders are about. Most of them construct their webs at night, using touch rather than sight, then sit hiding somewhere nearby in their favourite upside-down position. This is why we tend not to see them. All webs are familiar to us, all, and we see a lot of them later, but for now we may well only notice sheet webs, that is, horizontal mats of silk, which show up a lot in meadows, especially when covered in dew. In houses we see long wispy mesh-like webs, especially in the corners of rooms and around window frames. Some of these could well have been created by the laceweb spider, Amarobius fenestralis. Tube webs get noticed covering holes in old walls and also on bushes. Sometimes they have a central hole with radiating lines of silk, which act as tripwires for unsuspecting insects, as is the case with the snakeback spider, Segestria senaculata. When the web is more sock-shaped, it could belong to the purseweb spider, Atypus aphidis, which particularly likes to live on the south-facing sides of ant hills. Where the webs are hammock-shaped, the spider often hangs underneath, biting its prey through the silk and then dragging it through and repairing the hole later. There are many other shapes of web. Some are tent-shaped and others like inverted cups, or perhaps covering a whole flower head, or just encasing a cocoon of eggs. If a random web is seen with lots of crisscrosses of silk, this could indicate the work of a comb-footed spider, Theridiidae. And an excessively flimsy affair, which is almost invisible, could belong to the daddy long-legged spider, Pholcus phalanger, Phalangioides. Similarly, one full of spiderlings is typical of the nursery web spider, Pissora mirabilis. Unfortunately, there are hundreds of different spiders, and identifying them is not an easy task. Those mentioned here are just some common and widespread species in London, but even so, they may well not be seen until later in the year. To encourage spiders to show themselves, you can touch the web gently with the tip of a grass leaf, which sometimes draws the spider out. In the past, they used to use tuning forks for the same purpose, as spiders are so sensitive to vibration. Although not expected outside harvest time, you may well see your first harvestman of piliones this month. These close relations of spiders have outrageously long legs and usually just two eyes rather comically set on the bump on their backs. Mites, acari, are another close relation of spiders, which may also be seen this month, as some are at last coming out of hibernation. Most are not noticed due to their small size, usually less than 2 millimeters, and dull colours. However, there are exceptions, such as the vivid scarlet species that used to be described as red bags with legs. They are often seen after soil has been disturbed or occasionally after rain. If they are slightly bigger, perhaps 4 millimeters, and seem to be covered in a red fur, they could even be velvet mites, and these always get noticed. Mites are thought to be one of the most common group of invertebrates in the soil, not only in numbers of individuals, but also in numbers of species. It has been estimated that in some areas of grassland, there could be as many as 500 million per acre. Their important role in decay, as many feed on decaying organic matter and associated fungi, as well as bacteria, cannot be underestimated. Yet we still know so little about them, and even less about their autoecology. Another reason that they tend to get ignored is that some live quite deep in the soil, perhaps as much as a meter down. These subterranean species tend to be even smaller, weaker, less pigmented, and less armoured than the ones we see at the surface.